Hello, everyone. I'm Brenda Bandy with the Kansas Breastfeeding Coalition. I have a minute to noon here in Manhattan Central Time. So Amy Trollinger in Kansas City is on East Coast Kansas time. So thank you, Amy, for playing the lovely music so we know we're in the right place. This is like musical chairs. When the music stops, please find your spot and we are going to get started. So it is so great to see so many of you. Thank you. And please introduce yourself in the chat. One of the benefits of these meetings is not just learning from the experts and each other, but also getting to know each other. The more that we can see the experts across our states, and yes, you all are experts, we get to see who is out there that we can then reach out to. It could be there's somebody near you that you hadn't met before. So please introduce yourself with as much detail as you'd like. Your name, organization, location is always a great place to start. And if you feel later on that you want to provide your contact information so people can reach out to you and you can begin to exchange information and support each other, that would be lovely too. So as I said, I'm Brenda Bandy, Executive Director of the Kansas Breastfeeding Coalition. And it is my pleasure to introduce you to our panel of experts who are going to be talking through some cases. And with you, you are a part of this. You're not, we invite you to be a part of the discussion. But let me tell you who you're going to hear from today, in case you don't know this fantastic trio. I feel like I'm introducing a rock band. So we have all the way from Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska, Dr. Kathy Leeper. She is a co-founder and medical director of MilkWorks in Lincoln, Nebraska, also Omaha. This is a nonprofit breastfeeding center which opened in 2001. So they've been at this for quite some time. She was one of the first breastfeeding medicine specialists in the US. And we were so grateful that she spent some time with us in Kansas several years ago. Hopefully some of you got a chance to meet her when she traveled around with us. So thank you for joining, Kathy. We also have Stephanie Henry joining us all the way from Chanute, Kansas, in Southeast Kansas. Stephanie is an IBCLC International Board Certified Lactation Consultant. Actually, all three of them are. And she has been working with Kansas WIC in Southeast Kansas since 2009. She provides prenatal breastfeeding education classes, lactation consults, and telelactation consults to families throughout Southeast Kansas. I can't even say in Neosho. She covers a wide area down there. And then we have Stephanie Kaufman joining us from the Hutchinson area in the middle of our state. Welcome, Stephanie. She is with the Hutchinson Regional Medical Center and also has a private practice, Shine Lactation and Postpartum Support. And she is an instructor for the KBC. So if you've ever taken Breastfeeding 101, you probably saw Stephanie. So welcome to Kathy, Stephanie, and Stephanie. We're excited to have you back. How's everybody doing?
Great, good to be here.
Good, thanks. So you all were invited to provide some cases so that we can really respond to that. Today's focus is on supplementation. And you're going to be talking us through some cases so we can begin to think about how supplementation might be a part of the solution and how to supplement and supplement with what and all of that, right? Okay, well, let's just take off with our first case then. And I believe, Kathy, this is one that you submitted. Would you mind reading us through? And for those who are following along and listening in, we are going to have polls that are going to pop up so that you can kind of weigh in with what you think your responses would be. So please be ready for that. All right, Kathy, take it away.
All right. Sheila is a 24-year-old who delivered her first baby, Mia, 3 days ago. The spontaneous vaginal delivery was uneventful, as was her pregnancy. She is healthy, but does report that she gained 50 pounds during the pregnancy and is hoping that breastfeeding will help her lose some weight. Her breasts did increase in size during pregnancy, but she has not yet felt any fullness in this first 3 days. She has been nursing Mia without pain every hour or two since yesterday afternoon, but she has never seemed satisfied. Sheila's breasts appear normal, but they are soft on exam. The baby's alert and vigorous with a little jaundice, but when you weigh her, you found that she has lost 12% of her birth weight 3 days. She latches beautifully, and you can hear her swallow now and then go to sleep. You show Sheila how to do breast compressions and can get Mia to swallow a few more times sooner than mom had usually noted. But after doing this on all four sides, so right, left, she had taken a total of 18 mLs and wakes up again in 5 minutes showing hunger cues. So you help Sheila pump and are only able to express a few drops with hand expression after pumping. So that's your case. Not rare. All right. So we have a question. Where's our question? What do you recommend? First one is suggest she try this switch nursing, which is four-sided feedings using the compressions, and see her again tomorrow. See how that goes. Number two, you're out of time at this appointment, so you hand her a 5 French feeding tube to take home and suggest she puts one end in some formula and supplement at the breast with that 8 times in 24 hours and continue pumping after each feeding. Number three, you show her how to pace feed with a bottle and suggest she offer at least 1 ounce of express milk or donor milk or formula every 2 to 3 hours in the daytime and every 3 hours at the night. Four, you suggest she finger feed 3 ounces of donor milk 8 times in 24 hours because giving a bottle has been shown to increase risk of breast refusal.
Wow.
What's the best answer? Most correct.
Yeah. Okay, some people are voting. I see the votes are coming in.
Good.
And I would love to like take pieces of different parts of these too, right?
Yes, but you don't get to.
I
I mean,
know, I know.
you would in real life, and
Yeah,
those are
okay.
the topics of discussion.
All right. So far we've got about half of you have have indicated, but please continue to vote. And then I'm going to give you about like another 30 seconds, and we're going to have Amy share the results on what you all think would be a good recommendation. And then I know that the Stephanies probably have questions for you too, and probably a few ideas.
Sure.
Okay. Countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Amy, show us what we got.
Okay. Stephanie, why is that not a great answer? The first one. Or whoever.
Which Stephanie?
I'm sorry, either one. Stephanie's. Or is that a great answer?
Yeah, they all want to see them back tomorrow, right?
Well, seeing them back tomorrow is definitely what
You
you
like
must
that part.
do. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
But it's not okay to suggest she continue switch nursing because the baby only took 18 mLs at this feeding and is unlikely to take any more of that. And how much should a 3-year-old be taking at the breast at one time if they're 12% below birth weight currently?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah.
What did,
So,
I was going to say, what did the Stephanies think?
I'm just kind of I'm kind of stuck on I guess I would need a little bit more information, like, how often has she been feeding? And maybe you did say that.
I think we did every 1 to 2 hours.
Every 1 to 2 hours. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean, there's so many things in here. One is she gained excessive weight during the pregnancy, so she's at high risk of a delay in secretory activation. She's also, it's her first baby, and that's high risk of delay of secretory activation. Her baby has lost too much weight, and that needs to be fixed. And we don't have evidence during this appointment that that will be fixed by the current degree of milk production. You don't know that she's not going to have her milk come in the middle of the night and maybe everything will be okay, but you don't know that. So I would argue that the baby must be supplemented if they're currently 12% below birth weight with something somehow today. And then you see them back tomorrow. And if the milk came in the middle of the night and at 3 a.m., since 3 a.m., she's been refusing all supplements, then it's a whole different ball of wax, right?
Okay. So, Amy, are you able to share those results one more time? Because I'm just curious about, now that we know the appropriate course is supplementation, the question is how?
How do you do that?
And it looks
Yes.
like you've got the 5 French tube at the breast, or paste bottle feeding, or finger feeding. Those are like the methods. So I'm wondering, what do people think? Drop it in the chat. And Stephanie Kaufman, what's your preferred supplementation method?
Mine varies. I wrote down a whole bunch of things because there is a lot happening with this case. Number one, I would want to know kind of what that anchor at support at home looked like. I would want to see the state of mind of the mom, because number one, finger feeding may be a route to go. It may also be that mama just cannot handle one more thing. I mean, there's so many scenarios in this for me, on that part of it, and I would want to kind of dive into what I thought was going to be the simplest to get us through to tomorrow. And I don't know, that's just what I see in my clinic world. So, Stephanie, I'm anxious to see what you see and what you say.
I think the first question I would have for this mom is what her breastfeeding goal is. What is she, I mean, just like you said, Stephanie, too, like where is she at mentally? And because sometimes, I mean, I think probably we would agree the most protective of breastfeeding in this scenario would be that she would put the tube to the breast. Is that something she feels like she can manage? And support's a great question with that as well. I totally agree with that.
Sometimes I feel like when we come in with interventions at the breast, which is what we typically always, that's our go-to. But if we have a mama who maybe had a very traumatic birth, or things didn't go like she wanted, or someone even who is a mama that has a large amount of anxiety, sometimes one more thing at the breast is just, it just tips the apple cart. And so, yeah, I would want to know that piece of it. What is her history of anxiety and maybe depression as well with that? Yeah.
I would never send a 5 French feeding tube home with someone without showing them how to use it first, because it is a technique that requires education and practice. And so while I totally love supplementing at the breast in situations where you have an alert, active baby who removes milk, great, and you just need more milk, which could become the case if it turns out mom cannot make enough, and a few days from now we could be doing that. But if it's just that there's a delay, I guess I wouldn't. I have done that, but usually in experienced breastfeeders, and especially people who have done that in the past, I don't know that I would pull it on day 2 with a 12% baby or day 3, whatever we are. So, and then I guess another big thing I wanted to get to was, which I think maybe we're getting to later, so I don't have to is the volume that we would expect a kid at 3 days to be taking around an ounce at a time. And this baby needs a little more than that, which is why I hopefully put that I would offer at least 1 ounce. And then if the baby appears to want more, you never say no. They get as much as they want to take in this situation. But you give them a minimum that you need to offer this much. And then if they're taking more from the breast and you offer this much and they won't take it, then you're going to see them tomorrow and know whether that's an okay thing or not. Yeah.
I really like that in the scenario, it was encouraged that using those breast compressions so mom could
Mhm.
really understand, what we're looking for at the breast are
Mhm.
those swallows and see how this is really what it is. Because sometimes in these
Very important.
scenarios,
Mhm.
they think they've been breastfeeding for,
Yeah.
they'll say they're breastfeeding for
Right.
30 minutes. And
Yeah.
so you would
Mhm.
expect that's a good feed. So
Right.
I really like the breast compression thing.
Yes. Okay. And we do have some evidence that bottles interfere with breastfeeding in preterm babies. We don't have great evidence in term babies, is the other reason I threw that in there. Is if you use it carefully, it's another tool in the toolbox.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Question. When you say let the baby take as much as they would like, not limit it to that 1 ounce. I mean, the baby might need another like half an ounce. If it's bottle feeding, I think it is easy for the baby to take too much just because of
Not not if it's paste.
not if it's paste. Okay, so I just want to make sure everybody heard that because
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
idea of take as much as you'd like and don't limit it with bottle feeding if it's paste bottle feeding, not just the old-fashioned traditional way. Okay,
Right.
thanks. For those of us
And
in the back.
we don't have good research on that either. We don't have good research either way on paste versus not paste and that sort of thing, but based on experience.
I just had, and I think it may come up now. I'm like, oh, I don't know. Did I put that in my scenarios? But sometimes I kind of turn things upside down, and you guys just tell me your opinions on this. But with a baby that's super sleepy like that, sometimes I will encourage moms when we no doubt have to bring supplementation in to give a partial feed prior to going to the breast to kind of entice and get that blood sugar up and more energy. Sometimes they will give a better breastfeed. And then, of course, if they're still needing more, top them off with the rest of that ounce. I don't know if anybody else has had experience with that.
Yeah, that was one thing that I had written down. So, so high five, Stephanie. We are on the same with that. Yeah, because I think it stimulates their palate and wakes up their little taste buds and gives them a little bit of energy. And sometimes I just find that they're more engaged and more active at the breast.
Don't normally do that unless they're refusing the breast. Then I suggest they eat some bottle first, take the edge off their hunger, and then go to the breast. But this baby was actually removing what was there. It's just there's
Okay.
not anything there after they took it out. But yeah, not a
I
bad
think
idea.
sometimes if a baby also, if they're kind of frantic and we are like, oh my goodness, trying to get baby to the breast, it could be useful in those times too.
Absolutely, yeah. Yep.
I think we have some more cases, I think, that are going to elevate some of these other ideas too. And I have to say that the beauty of this discussion, having a panel, is that everyone practices just a little bit differently. And so I think it's good to hear all the different ways of how we do that. Do we have the next case, Amy? And I think this was yours, Stephanie Kaufman.
Okay. You are seeing a 4-day-old baby. Look, it sounds like we're choosing the same babies for our scenarios, who is exclusively breastfed. They were sent to you to be seen after a newborn follow-up with the pediatrician. Mom states that the baby is such a great sleeper and rarely takes more than one side at the breast. Upon assessment, her breasts are hard, tender, and milk is leaking. Baby struggles to latch on. The pediatrician encouraged supplementation after each feeding as baby has become jaundiced and has a 9% weight loss. The weight transferred after 10 minutes at breast was less than 10 cc's, and baby was difficult to keep awake and refuses the second breast. So there are some similarities, except we have some very hard, leaky boobs in this scenario. So what is the most immediate priority for this mother and baby? And there is a single choice, but I can see that this is going to look a little bit like the NCLEX exam that RNs take sometimes, where you get so many that could be. So I'm interested to see what everybody says.
All right, people's votes are coming in faster. I think everybody's catching on. There's definitely a leader here. So there's one question that most people are liking, although all of them have a vote or two. Okay, we're almost at 50%. If you're near your computer or phone, it's your chance to weigh in. Okay, let's give it about 5 more seconds. Right, 2/3 of you have voted. Okay, Amy, what have we got?
I am impressed. Way to go. To improve the baby's feeding effectiveness and milk intake is our most immediate. And of course, addressing engorgement is going to be super important. And all of this should help reduce the baby's jaundice. Does anybody else have a different thought process on that?
Opening it up to the panel, are we? Let's get everyone to weigh in. And those of you listening, you can weigh in too in the chat. Love to hear what you think. So Stephanie, you're saying the first thing is to increase the baby's effectiveness at the breast, the baby's transfer of milk, because that should deal with everything else. That should help address everything else.
There will be things that yes, you're doing to make sure that's happening and what you're addressing.
Yeah, hopefully in the appointment you do things to decrease engorgement, which helps the baby latch and then gets you on a positive roll.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So I think we have several questions with this one.
Okay, the baby is described as a great sleeper and difficult to keep awake. What is the most appropriate action to encourage more frequent and effective feedings?
Boy, people must be close to their devices because the votes are coming in faster this time.
Okay, if you need me to read the answers, I can. I don't think I did last time.
That's okay. Yeah, I think they're able to see it. Okay. Votes are still coming in, so we're going to give it about another 5 seconds here. Definitely a clear winner with this one, hands down. Okay, Amy, what have we got? Okay, Stephanie, are you able to see that?
Yeah, just getting it here. Okay, so I would say this is pretty, I think you guys are on the right track. I would say that first and the fourth one are absolutely the most important and really go hand in hand for sure. Anybody else have questions or people who we're talking about assisting mom in pumping and feeding with alternative methods. if in the chat or whoever,
Mhm.
tell us why you would have chosen that one.
They don't have any response in there, but I'm wondering if are they thinking that perhaps getting some of the mother's own milk that would then they would feed the baby and get the baby like you were talking with the other case. If the baby got just a little bit of calories, they're going to be more alert. So maybe that's what they were thinking is let's get the baby some calories with the mother's own milk.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
the baby's too sleepy to even take the second side right now. So assisting them in eating might help them wake up, get their jaundice down, wake up.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What other tips do you have for wake the baby for feeds every 2 to 3 hours? If you have a really sleepy baby, I mean, it could get kind of dangerous trying to wake a sleepy baby who's just not having it. So at what point do you know that we've like slipped into the danger zone with a baby who's no longer sleepy but just lethargic and might need to be seen?
I would say that assisting, trying to get a baby to wake up every 2 to 3 hours. I mean, 3 hours is absolute max.
Mm-hmm.
I would say more so every hour and a half to 2. I do think this baby needs a little bit of assistance with, pumping, helping mom to relieve some engorgement, either hand expression or pumping. And at this stage of the game, I always tell moms if they have the milk, give that baby the milk no
Yeah.
matter what. There's no reason to save that milk. Just get it and give it to baby. And we can show different, all those different alternative ways to feed to protect breastfeeding. But
Yeah.
I think that would be for sure what I would do is make sure that moms understand, hey, let's give baby whatever you have here.
Yeah. And I think you may hopefully seen in the chat, Melody Ward is chiming in with using skin to skin as a way of waking up that sleepy baby and also assessing output. I think in response to my question, like, how do we know if this is a dangerous situation or not? Of course, if the baby's having some output, that can be reassuring. Especially if they're willing to eat every few hours, even if they're sleepy in between. So other thoughts on this 4-day-old baby? Because some folks did say they're going to help the mom to express some milk. Another question. Yes.
What is a safe and effective way to supplement the baby with express breast milk or formula if needed? I think you guys will be fast on this one.
Yep. Oh, and remember, it's a 4-day-old, not a 4-month-old. 4-day-old baby.
4 day.
Okay. And by the way, while we're waiting for votes to come in, would one of the three of you just drop into the chat how much would a baby be taking in a feeding at 4 days?
I had posted earlier a handout about this, so I'll do it again
Thanks.
because
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay. And the short answer is not 3 ounces.
No.
Less than 3. Less than 2. Ish.
1.5. I mean, between day 3 and 5 to 7, it's kind of hard to say for sure, but
okay. Well, I think we have a clear winner on this one too. Do you want to share the poll, Amy?
Yep.
And what's wrong with the bottle? I'm wondering why a bottle's not included in a safe and effective method.
Well, I'm going to guess, and again, I know I should be more quiet and let the Stephanies respond, but I just sense that a lot of people don't know about paced feeding yet.
Okay.
And
Mhm.
I think that especially if they're leaving an appointment and they heard bottle feeding, they may be telling other people in the home that's helping to care for the baby, we just need to bottle feed, we just need to bottle feed, and they're not all gonna know the paced bottle feeding technique. And, we also have bottle feeding's just gotten a bad rap in lactation
Mhm.
land for a long time, with that. So I think when it's done with paced bottle feeding, with the right nipple size, all of that, I think it can be supportive, but oftentimes it can be not. What have been other people's experience with bottle feeding?
Melody pointed out the answer doesn't specify. You could say old-fashioned traditional bottle feed. I get it. Okay.
Mhm.
Here's our paste bottle feeding handout, if that helps. But yeah, I mean, I used to finger feed a lot 20 years ago. And
Yeah.
then I don't know, in the last 15, I just never do use
Yeah.
finger feeding because it's just so much harder.
Yeah.
And the outcomes seem the same as long as you pace it.
Okay. So you're doing more bottle feeding in your practice now, Kathy, because you're pairing it with the paced bottle feeding.
Yeah, you
And
only give
that's
the bottle in a way that the baby can be in charge of how fast the milk is
mhm,
coming out.
mhm.
Hmm.
Are there any other instructions you give, like the flow of the nipple, the size of the nipple, just that kind of thing that's also giving you good results?
Yeah, Dr. Brown's, even though I hate all the parts inside of it, has a shape that we like that appears to support
Mhm.
using your tongue effectively with either a preemie or a newborn number one nipple. Um, Pacing it is usually very good, but in a very sleepy baby, it can be too slow. So really sleepy babies, I don't care what bottle they use. They just need to eat. And then tomorrow or the next day, we can switch to what I prefer for a bottle. But
Yeah.
in the early days, you can take a fast flowing nipple, and as long as you hold the bottle parallel to the floor,
Mhm.
the baby can still mostly control how fast it's coming out. And the really sleepy ones, you need it to come out fast so they don't fall asleep. There are
Yeah.
some, the worst jaundice babies, I do have to finger feed because then you can wiggle your finger to stimulate their suck reflex because they won't even suck on a bottle. Um, but most kids
Yeah.
will.
So I'm wondering with the paste, with the oh, there's another question. Sorry. I was just thinking about the supplemental nursing and the cup and syringe feeding, which is more complex. If maybe the Stephanie Kaufman, if you use that, if you want to describe how you use that. But let's go on to the next question for the sake of time.
Okay.
Well, that was a good discussion, you all. Thank you, Dr. Leeper, because that was
Yeah.
good.
I'm not afraid of
Yes.
bottles anymore. I used to be,
Yeah.
but I'm really not. They're
I'm glad
helpful
that you
too.
said that. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I think it is easier for parents, but it's just that education piece and taking the time
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
them to do that. Again, I look at that takes some stress off.
And
And
so many babies are going to be bottle feeding later when their mommy
yeah,
leaves the house. And
yeah.
so teaching them how to do that for then helps the
Uh-huh.
baby keeps them from overeating and asking for more milk than they should. Mhm.
Look at what Felicia put
Yeah.
in the chat because you are dead on, Felicia. She said, I would like to add that some parents may choose to stop breastfeeding entirely because they were told to supplement using a more challenging technique and it just seems
Mhm.
overwhelming. They may choose to just
Mhm.
formula feed because they didn't understand pace bottle feeding. Yeah, that was good. It's an education piece that can easily be added in, and maybe even during, I'm thinking prenatally in a trimester class.
Yeah, that'd be
So
great.
yeah, that
Mhm.
was good.
Yeah.
Along with hand expression.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm putting it down, Dr. Lieber.
All right. I think this is the last question Stephanie has for the group. Steph, do you want to read the question and then people can chime in?
Sure. The mom expresses concern that her milk supply is not enough for the baby after visiting with her doctor. What would you advise?
Okay. So a little longer answers to read through. And there's 5 options this time. Okay, people are catching on. Now the votes are coming in. All right, Stephanie or Amy, do you want to share the answers? Looks like we have a clear winner on this one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And really, everybody's a winner because I think those are all good answers.
Yes. So it's really about, we were talking about last time about like low milk supply, just everything to remove milk, proper latch, hand expression, alternative feeding methods, and assessing effective transfer. Mhm. Okay, great. We have 3 more cases. Shall we move on to the next one? I believe this one is also, this is Stephanie Henry. She has the next 2. All right, Stephanie, walk us through your first one.
Okay. A breastfeeding mom recently returned to work. She gave our office a call to discuss breastfeeding supply. She felt like her milk supply wasn't where it needed to be. She stated that she was away from her baby for 10 hours while she was at work and she pumped 4 times a day. She expresses 12 ounces each day. Daycare. Now, I'm going to tell you that daycare isn't daycare. Daycare is the Mimi that lives down the road, as far as daycare is. And so Mimi is telling the mom that baby takes 5 ounces in a bottle each time, and that mama needed to provide more or else begin formula supplementation. So mom was considering supplementation with formula to make up that difference for daycare. So Dr. Leeper and Stephanie, walk me through some things that you would kind of discuss with that mama that you were talking to, about this, some topics that we could kind of throw out to counsel.
Well,
I'm
I
going to
think
sound
this,
like, so go ahead.
I just think it's screaming Dr. Leeper's pace
Pace
bottle
bottle
feeding.
feeding. It is. We didn't even know we were going to talk about that. So it does scream it. That is exactly right. And do we discuss that with the mom, or would you discuss that with the Mimi/Gigi, or both?
Well, ideally both, I guess. Since I'm usually seeing the mom, I would give her that handout about what we expect babies to eat. And most babies at the breast don't take more than 5 at a time, and many take much less than that. And if you pace the bottle, see what she would actually be happy with, or do a feeding at the breast and weigh before and after, and demonstrate for Mimi what the baby usually takes at 3 p.m. from mom versus what they've been offering in the bottle.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephanie, anything that you want to add?
Um, I always tell, this is a really big discussion. And especially when moms are returning to work and that anxiety about, oh my goodness,
It
how much
is.
do I need to leave
Yeah.
for my baby? And kind of a rule of thumb that we go off of, I don't know, others may do this or educate this differently, but I usually say an ounce to an ounce and a half per
Yep.
hour that you are away from your baby. So this baby, if mom is there for, or gone for 10 hours, baby will need 10 to 15 ounces.
Absolutely. That I'm gonna. This was real life, so I'm gonna tell you what we did. We actually had mom come in, and we instructed on pace bottle feeding as well as gave the handout. But then we ended up 2 weeks later having the Mimi/Gigi come in, and we went through it with grandma as well. Huge difference with the grandma. Everything is great and wonderful. And so, yeah, I think it's just again, it hits that home that we really do need this education piece built in and how we're supporting families. So, okay. Am I to go on to the next, Brenda?
Yes, please, let's.
Okay. All right.
Thanks.
Case number 4. We've got a first-time mama that came into the clinic with a 3-week-old. And they stated that the physician recommended that she nurse the infant and then top the baby off with 1 to 2 ounces of formula following breastfeeding. But baby now is experiencing spitting up, very gassy and fussy most days. So, what are some points that we could counsel on for this breastfeeding dyad with this mama and baby?
Gosh, need more information. So why was the formula recommended? What's the baby's weight now? What was it at the time the doctor recommended that? What's the difference in between how much?
Baby had still not gotten up to birth weight, or I think baby was just right at birth weight at that 3 week mark. They had been through a lot though, with labor and delivery, and baby was born at a 39 week 4 day, on that. And so, that doctor in particular, that's just kind of the go-to with topping them off. That's always the blanket answer with things.
Yeah. So you have to explain lactation physiology to the mom, how her breasts work, and how this is not telling them to make more and how to do that.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
guys do like pre and post feeding weights to know what baby is getting at,
Mhm.
a snapshot of that?
Right. Right. And baby was transferring great. There was no issues or problems with that part of it. The odd thing to me with this was that they didn't want to see the baby back for like 3 weeks, on that part. And so we had them coming in for a weight check once a week with that. After that initial appointment with everything, we had her come back in 2 days, because it was on a Monday when she came in. And then we we had her call while she was in the office, to make sure that she could go ahead and pump and be able to give express breast milk versus starting, with any additional formula supplementation with, what she was doing. And so I'm happy to say everything kind of turned around and baby's doing great and wonderful, and we're not topping baby off with anything. So yeah, that's just kind of what our world sometimes looks like. I think that, there can be a rut sometimes to old ways,
Not
with
just
not
old
look.
ways, but doctors trust formula and they don't trust breastfeeding when they don't know anything about it.
I want to give you a hug through this screen. So
It's the truth.
that was so said in such a good way. So
Well, I mean, that's why they could wait 3 weeks is they trust the formula.
Right.
right,
And they
right.
don't have the knowledge to fix the breastfeeding, so they just say give formula. And
Yeah,
in their mind, they've fixed the problem of the baby's weight gain.
yeah, yeah. That's exactly right. And so mom just was upset because of the fact that baby was so gassy with everything. And then she thought that there was potentially maybe something wrong with her milk. And it was just, there were so many things happening with that whole situation. It was just, yeah. And now I'm happy to say that, yeah, baby's doing great and wonderful and thriving. So,
Love the happy endings to the story.
Yeah, good
I
job.
I did have a little part that I wanted to highlight. Could you explain what you meant? You said the mom called while she was in the office, and then you went on to
oh,
say,
sorry. She called and then we had her come into the office.
okay, so
Yeah.
here's what I hear sometime from some of the folks that may be
Mhm.
joining this call is they're in a tough spot when what they may be suggesting is in opposition or different than what the doctor suggested. So,
Mhm.
what did you say to this mom when you were proposing a action different than what the doctor suggested? And what was your
Yeah.
communication or her communication back with the doctor? I had misunderstood. I thought that the
Yeah.
mom literally called the doctor's office while she was with you and said, "Hey,
She
doc,
did.
I'm not doing
She
that."
did. She did. She
She
did.
did.
That's exactly what happened. And so I said, "Well, did you ask them, kind of guide me through that conversation that you had while you had baby in, the doctor's office?" And I said, "Did they give you the option?" Because moms don't know sometimes that they don't have that option. They just take it that that's the way it's supposed to be because the doctor said. So I think that we have to empower them with calling. And I said, did they give you the option of pumping your milk if they want you to top baby off? Because the doctor said that they wanted to be able to measure it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What
Mm-hmm.
she was giving to that infant. And she said, no, I didn't even know I could do that. And I said, well, you know, let's call them. Do you want to walk outside and call? Would you like to call right here? And she said, I'll just call them right now. The other thing is we're a small town. So I have a working relationship with most of the doctors, and we're able to do that. So she just called. She asked, can I go ahead and be able to top baby off with pump milk? That nurse put us on hold, went and talked to the doctor. They came back and said yes. And I said, when are you supposed to go back for a weight check? That's when she told me they don't want me back for it was like 3.5 weeks. And that's when we were on hold. And I said, when they get back on, tell them that we're going to have you come in on Wednesday and we're going to recheck weight and we will call them. And that's what we did.
Great. So I hear there was communication with the doctor. This wasn't just done without informing it, and there was a plan in place. I think doctors
Yeah.
often are willing to go with a different plan when they know that they're being seen and monitored by someone who's knowledgeable. So thanks for filling in that part of the story. And then I also just threw into the chat, sometimes breast compression can be almost the equivalent of topping off
Right.
because it helps the baby to just get that little bit more. All right. Shall we move on to our last case? I know this is Stephanie Kaufman's, and she has several good questions that are really going to help us kind of pull this all together. So take it away, Stephanie Kaufman.
Okay. A first-time mom reaches out about her 5-week-old who latched in the hospital, but formula was started on day 2 due to jaundice and weight loss. Mom was able to establish a full milk supply and has been exclusively pumping and feeding. Mom has tried to breastfeed every once in a while, but baby now prefers the bottle. And this is real life, real time. So I can't wait to hear from all of you, all your good suggestions. So what's the first thing you would try to help baby return to the breast? So lots of skin to skin contact, which people I've seen in the chat, that's very good. Offer breast before every bottle. Nurse when baby is sleepy and calm, and make sure baby is hungry before offering the breast.
Well, there's several different, there's 2 winners on this. And almost everyone has responded. Let's just give it a couple more seconds here. There we go. As people are rushing back to their phones. There we go. Okay, Amy, what have we got?
Okay. I love that. I love that skin to skin. And kind of the rationale behind that is taking baby back to basics. And sometimes I think it feels like at 5 weeks, well, that's going way back. But it's amazing. Just, take the pressure of putting baby to breast out of the equation. This baby's doing fine, but get baby back skin to skin. And sometimes you never know what they may do.
Okay.
I love that. We call it a baby moon, like a honeymoon, but we like to take, in 24-hour increments and just have mom and baby just basically cuddle bug with that. And I find many times that's just what draws that baby back to the breast. So love it.
And offering breast before every bottle can work if the baby's calm and amenable to that, but most of them are screaming their heads off when you present them with a breast when they're very hungry. So giving them half a bottle or even 3/4 of a bottle and then have breast for dessert is a strategy that often works.
Yep. I
Love
love
that.
that. Breast for dessert. I am going to
me
use
too. I
that.
like that.
Yeah.
Give the breast for dessert. Work your way backwards.
Nice. There we go.
Which feeding method might support more breast time? So paced bottle feeding. We have heard that in every scenario, I think. SNS, supplemental nursing system, syringe or cup feeding. Consider partial bottle feed first, then use nipple shield at breast. I am guessing we are going to get some different answers on this.
Yeah, we have a few answers so far. You know, we've not talked about nipple shields at all.
And I don't know if you want me to comment on this before the answers.
If you can, in about 10 seconds while we wait for the answers to come in, and then we'll see what the answers say.
So in my experiences, I've had really great experiences with a baby who has been bottled, but mom wants to breast and wants to go back to breast, I should say. And the nipple shield, as much as I don't really like nipple shields, they are and can be very effective in this scenario.
I'm right there with you, Stephanie. That
Okay.
same. And if you said the majority of the time that is what, if we use them at all, that is what it is used for. And that just, it's kind of that process of, I call it weaning from the nipple shield.
Yeah,
Then we can work on
absolutely.
that piece of it to have baby fully back at breast without anything.
Okay, so here we go with the results. I think we saw lots of different answers here. What do you all think? What would be your go-to? I think I know the answer. And you may have different answers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, there's a clear winner. Paced bottle feeding isn't going to increase your time at the breast necessarily, but a supplementer would probably, or a nipple shield could if it worked, So
Yeah.
I don't know, but most breast refusers, I mean, that's not true. I'll usually pull out not just a supplement, I'll get the syringe with the feeding tube with a syringe full of milk at the end of it, and I'm pushing it out under the nipple shield to get milk there right away because most babies are refusing because when they suck on a bottle, they get a gush of milk with that first suck. When you suck on a breast, most of the time that does not happen. So they come and suck once or twice and then scream at you because it's empty and there's nothing there and they don't understand why you want them to do that. Give me that bottle. So another thing a pearl that I should say is when you're pacing the bottle, tip it down in these babies so the nipple is empty. Make them count to 30, have the parents count to 30 while the baby sucks on nothing. They get nothing for 30 seconds and then give them a letdown. So they get used to the fact that I have to wait for a letdown on this thing, just like that other thing, and that's warm and snuggly. I might as well go eat over there.
Nice. That is
Oh,
great
golden.
tip.
Golden.
And the grandma will say, well, won't they swallow air? And I say, no, they won't, because watch. If you watch, they do not swallow until you give them liquid.
I love that.
I love that great explanation. They won't swallow if you don't give them liquid. Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna just tell you what we did do or what we are doing. So paced bottle feeding was the instruction from the get-go. So mom was doing paced bottle feeding, which I was very happy about. The baby is very much a refuser at breast, and so that the SNS is not an option because this baby, it could be an option combined maybe with the nipple shield after baby has been fed. But this baby is not going to go to breast just to go to breast and try it out. I can promise you, I should have brought her along and she would tell you all that she's not going to do that.
Yeah.
So, what we did do with her, and I have encouraged, of course, was a lot of skin to skin, like we talked about initially, but making sure she is not hungry when we're attempting breast. We're trying to get back to this is your mommy and you're in love with your mommy, and just think mommy can give you milk too. That isn't formula. So that's where we're at with her.
Great. I always love to hear the rest of the stories.
Me too.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we have reached the end of our time because we do have a few announcements from the KBC. But To those of you in the audience, please ask your questions in the chat, and I'm sure that our panel would love to answer your questions in the chat while we go through some of the KBC announcements that we have coming up. Big round of applause for our panel. Thank you to Stephanie Kaufman, Stephanie Henry, and Kathy Leeper. Thank you so much for helping us to think through these different cases. They are really thought-provoking. So thank you again, and we hope to continue this series. So we have a few announcements. This is breaking news. We just had the review committee meet this week, and we are awarding 11 scholarships to folks across Kansas. And these are the wonderful recipients to this year's scholarships. And so some are going to be working towards becoming an IBCLC, and others on their, like we're calling them mid-level certification programs. And so they can provide greater support in their community. So big round of applause to these wonderful folks who are going to extend our access to care in our state. Next slide. And right now, you are the first to see the ballot for the KBC board candidates. You hopefully will see some folks there that you recognize. We have some new faces that are interested in serving on the board. Please take your phone out right now and vote. The voting will be open for about 4 weeks, and then the winners will take their places on the board at our annual meeting in October at our state conference. So please vote now. And Amy, I don't know if you can manage to multitask and throw that link into the chat. I don't know. That's a lot while you're driving at the same time. I get it. Driving the slides, I mean. So yes, not a vehicle. But please vote if you can. And we do have our Milk Messenger newsletter coming out later today that will have this link as well. So you're going to have another chance to do that. But we're so happy to see that we had such a great slate for the open positions. Next slide. It is, I don't think this is a surprise to anyone, National Breastfeeding Month, but did you know it's also Kansas Breastfeeding Month? Thank you very much to our governor, Laura Kelly, for signing a proclamation, as she's done every year for at least the last 6 or 7 years. So here we were last week in her office with the signing. Oh, that's okay, Amy. It's good. You may see people there you recognize. And we also have our new State of Breastfeeding report that we issue every year on August 1st when the CDC releases their new data. Amy is ready to drop it in a new format every year. And did you notice there's a new graph in the middle of our first page? We are highlighting the progress WIC has made over the last, 15 years. Look at how far we have come. I know it's little teeny tiny, but again, look at you can go to the link, but here's what that middle graph shows, that back in 2007, exclusive breastfeeding at 6 months was like 7 or 8%, and now it is up to over 18%. So I know that's exclusive at 6 months. And so we know is a really hard number to move, but WIC has done it. So thank you to everyone in WIC and supports WIC. Way to go. All right, next slide. We have 2 more slides. They're both education related. So we have our 101, 201 coming up in 2 weeks, and we have our brand new 301 because we heard you all. You're tired of this online stuff. You want to get together in a room and learn about lactation. So that's what our 301 skills days are. We're going to be in those 4 cities with Vanessa Flood, who is our education director, Stephanie Kaufman, myself, and it's no slides. I promise you, no slides, all skills stations. You're going to be up walking around. And our last slide, the big party. You guys are not going to want to miss this. This is our annual conference. We learn all day, and then we have our gala, and we have a nice party at night. And our Thursday gala is going to be an awards night. So you or someone you know may be getting an award. And our application for those awards will be coming out hopefully next week. So be looking for that so you can nominate yourself or someone you know and love. So we hope to see you at the conference October 16th and 17th. We have a great lineup of speakers for both hot topics as well as community-based. If you know Maya Bowman, who really helped to pioneer the idea of a breast massage, and she's going to be with us for a great portion of the day on Thursday. All right. Oh, I did it with 2 minutes to spare. Felt like an infomercial, talking really fast. So, any questions for the speakers before we go today? I see a lot in the chat that I have not been looking at. Okay. Anything else? Speakers, you would like to impart any other reminders?
No,
No?
I just want to say thank you. I love these. I feel like being on the panel is such an honor, but it is just the learning for me with
Mhm.
everything that we're presenting. Like this is my favorite. So thank you, Brenda. And
Yeah.
Dr. Lieber and Stephanie.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is great to learn together, and we learn from people in the chat, their favorite techniques, that their go-to. I think we all kind of have a go-to, and then we learn something and we go to, we try a new thing. And so hopefully this has sparked you to consider maybe new ways of practicing, if you haven't thought about that. And we're going to start thinking about our topics for work next year. Our emPOWER series, we are going to take the month of December off, and then we're going to start back up after the first of the year. So we'll see you at the conference, and we'll start these back up after the first of the year. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.